Here with the new co-host, Ricardo Torres, tonight.
Thank you.
Happy to have him in studio again. We have been suffering numerous technical difficulties, as you've all seen recently, with a lot of the things I've been doing. And there we go. Bing. We need to turn that off. I don't even know how to operate this shit. Just run it. Anyway, Ricardo, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. Thank
Right
you.
on. It's good to have you back here again, man. Glad to see you. Always a pleasure. Ricardo was one of those people that's always just a pleasure to have around. And his new baby girl is doing well.
Yep.
Which is good to hear. And I hope you all are doing well out there in Candyland. Anyway, we're gonna just play a little tune here. Start it off, I guess. I don't even know what we're gonna do. We're gonna just we're gonna hit a button and see what comes up. I'm gonna do a little something here. All right, there we go. So that was our buddy, Mr. Brandon Hart, out of Los Angeles. Check him out. Brandon Hart, he's rolling with Nova Rockefeller and Tom McDonald, who is a beast. Tom McDonald's just killing it. The dude is just, I mean, he's gone from alcoholic addict to just a motherfucking monster. And his lady, Nova, she's a monster, and so is Brandon Hart. They're like a trifecta that is just really badass. So we've enjoyed listening to their music. Yeah. And they let us play it for nothing, which is awesome. They don't give us any copyright infringements or anything like that. Anyway, I don't even know where we're going to go with this tonight.
I don't know what
route we're going to go down. A lot of things going on. We started bombing Syria. That's another great thing, huh? More bombs in Syria. Lovely.
No. I mean, anything that has to do with war, I'm just against. It's like...
Exactly. I mean, what are we doing? Why? There, and then you've got, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Dore. Like, I like Jimmy a lot. I mean, and Jimmy has been very anti-war. He's pro. He's progressive in really the sense of what a progressive should be. I mean, he believes in Medicare for all.
Yeah.
He believes that we shouldn't be in these regime change wars.
Yeah.
Which I believe we shouldn't be. I don't think we have any business in Syria. No. We have no. The only reason we're there is because of the proposed pipeline.
Yeah.
And the media has been bought and paid for, and they make up these stories. I mean, did you see the footage? This was years, maybe 4 years ago. They had a CNN analyst over there, and they had just they had said that Assad had released chemical weapons on his own people, right? And this was after he had basically eliminated ISIS from Syria. And this woman is over there, and she picks up a backpack on the air, and she's smelling it, and she goes, "Oh, there's definitely something that smells."
How can you know?
If it was chemical weapons and it's in the back, I mean, you're not going to be sitting there standing up. And the American people are so dumb that they just, it must have been Assad.
Yeah, no.
Now, am I saying that Bashar Assad is a good man?
No.
I'm not. But I don't know the man. And the only person that had the balls to even go over there and actually do any kind of work on it was, number one, you have Tulsi Gabbard, right? Who is now, she's just totally withdrawn from the whole political system, and she was a presidential candidate who I was behind. I mean, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but when she was running for president, and everybody wants to talk about how we need a female president.
Yeah.
That's who I was behind. The last election, that was it. I was like Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you've got a woman of color. You have she's a veteran. She did 2 tours as a medic in Iraq. Okay. She's seen what war does. And, you know, and she's been a member of Congress. And they shut her down. Hillary Clinton called her a Russian asset. Now, how are you going to call a congressperson who's done multiple tours, and she was still active. How are you going to say she's a Russian asset?
No.
Oh, God. Here we go. Now the phone's ringing again. Jesus Christ. Yeah, anyways. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And you know, everybody wants to talk about how we haven't had I mean, I was completely behind her.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, she's a progressive. She's on the left. She's a Democrat. But what disappointed me about Tulsi as well is that she jumped right in there behind Joe Biden and like backed him. And that was disappointing because Biden has been nothing but a warmonger.
Yeah.
He's a racist. And I mean, really, he's a piece of shit. Sorry. I mean, honestly, I do hope he does right by the country and everything, you know. I mean, you always hope for that, but it's like, you know, the guy is a piece of garbage, and he's always been a piece of shit. And like we talked on the last podcast, I mean, the black community feels like they need to be behind him, but how many black fathers are imprisoned right now behind the 1994, you know, the crime bill that Biden wrote? He was the architect of it. And then he wants to stand there in front of a black crowd and say, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
No.
It's like, listen, Jack. Yeah. How are you going to say that?
No, everyone has the right to vote for whoever they want.
Well, they certainly do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like he's not a pro-black. He never has been. He's never been behind the African-American community. He's never been behind the Hispanic community. He's never been behind any kind of minority community whatsoever. He's just been all about him, and it's obvious in what his you know, look at his son, crackhead. I mean, he's violated I don't know how many different laws with gun ownership.
Yeah.
Which were you or I to do that, we'd be looking at felonies.
Yeah.
You know, and then that computer surfaces, and they're just like, oh, it's Russian disinformation. Oh, really? The Russians took a computer to a Wilmington, Delaware mom and pop computer shop and left it, and then it had pictures of Hunter Biden smoking crack and like molesting little girls and shit, you know. And you got this guy, he's the hair smeller, you know. I mean, it was just like 2 weeks ago, he's sitting there, he's saying, you know, talking about a girl that's like sitting there. He's like, oh, look, she just looks like a girl, just got her legs crossed, like she must be 19. It's like a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And he wants to sniff her hair and put his hands on it, you know. And I mean, it's just terrible. It's ridiculous. And then you got the cackling Kamala. I mean, this country is just going to shit. It's already done. It's like we're the laughing stock of the world now. It's pretty sad. I don't know. I don't know how you look at it. I mean, you probably got a different outlook.
Well, in the last election, if it was between Trump and Biden, I'd go for Biden because Trump is a piece of shit, or at least that's what I think. So
right, and I believe so. I don't like much about Trump. And one of my favorite band is Widespread Panic, and they sing a song called "Busted Big," and one of the lyrics in that song is, beware of the man who makes monuments to himself.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty true.
Yeah.
Like if you have to make monuments to yourself, right? Like I've always told people, like if you have to say you is, you probably isn't.
Yeah.
And that's not grammatically correct, but it's just kind of one of those things I've always said to people when they come up and they say things like, I've had guys come up and say like, oh, I'm an ex-Army Ranger, da, 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 da. And I'm like, listen, dude, I have a number of friends who are, ex, Army Rangers, Navy SEALs, and those dudes never say. Those dudes are bad motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And they don't have to say what they are. So, I mean, if you have to say you is, you probably isn't. It's the same thing as putting your name on a building. Why would you do that? Would you ever do that?
No, it's like
I
insane.
mean, would you build it? I mean, if you were to build a hotel here in Cody, what would you call it? A hotel
Torres?
Torres? No, you wouldn't. Yeah, of course not. Nor would I if I was to do the same thing. It wouldn't be like File Plaza. Hell no. Why?
Yeah, it's like
No.
there's no point.
Yeah, I mean, what? Yeah, it's just to make a monument unto yourself. So anybody that has to do that is a megalomaniac.
Yes.
They definitely have some psychological issues.
And with Trump, who planned to throw himself the parades in Washington
Oh, I
D.C.,
know.
it's like
Yeah, I mean,
it's pointless.
it is, and he just, I don't know. I mean, I got to say, the dude did do a few things that I approve of that were good. I mean, like for instance, when we had that drone flying over Iranian airspace,
Yeah.
where we weren't supposed to be, and they shot it down, and he had the option of, sending an airstrike into, I believe it was 90. I think there was 97 domiciles in this apartment building.
Yeah.
Where they figured these quote unquote terrorists were from,
Terrorists,
but I don't consider them terrorists. I mean, they shot down a drone that was in their airspace that was ours, where it wasn't supposed to be. Can you imagine what would happen in the United States if there was an Iranian drone in American airspace? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Everybody would lose their fucking mind. And the Democrats were all behind going in there and just blowing the shit out of it. And Trump said, how many people are going to die?
Yeah.
And they gave him the number, and he said no. And so I was behind that. I think that was a good move, right? I mean, I can't say that there was a lot of good moves that he made, but that was one. He did take into consideration the fact that a lot of innocent people would die because of whoever it was that shot down our drone in their airspace where we shouldn't have been. It's an unmanned aircraft.
Yeah.
No American lives were lost. And even if there was an American in the drone or in an aircraft over Iran where we shouldn't have been, and they shot it down, guess what? That's how it goes, because we shouldn't be there, right? I mean, and that's what's ridiculous, man. It's just like, what the fuck are we doing? And by saying we, it's not you. It's not even you and I. Like, you and I don't have a say in it. And anybody listening to this podcast doesn't have a say in it. None of us have a say in what these fuckers are doing. They're manipulating, global climates, and not only globally, but the more so they do it here in the United States. I mean, they set people against one another, and that's the thing that drives me nuts, is that we don't ever know our neighbors. We don't know, we don't reach across lines to
Mexico, or Canada,
just to get to know somebody different than yourself. I mean, that's what's crazy. It's like, oh, I'm this and I'm that, and we have these boundaries of who we are, and we don't just look across the street and say, well, that dude doesn't look like me, but maybe he's raising two kids and going through the same shit I'm going through, and maybe we should have a barbecue together and our kids should hang out together. You know what I mean? It's
no, let me say, when I went to Miami first, I went there as a freshman without speaking English. I mean, I knew English from school, but it's not like
it's like me knowing Spanish from college.
Yeah,
same thing.
And I live with
street English.
I live with a roommate from Tennessee and another roommate from New Jersey, and then it's like, what the fuck? It's like, where am I?
But did you guys have those conversations though, where you laughed at each other?
Yeah.
And that's the best.
Yeah.
They're those politically incorrect conversations that you have with somebody, where you sit down and you laugh at those misconceptions and those stereotypes that you have of somebody else, right?
But it was funny, but those two guys are still my friends today.
Sure.
Yeah, and we
still. Well, and I got a ton of guys like that. Yeah, I mean, I go out to LA. It's the same thing. I go out there, and I mean, and I don't even think about it when I go out there. But I'm always the only white dude.
Yeah.
And I don't even think about it. But it's funny because between my my friends and myself out there, we've all had those conversations that are, they'd be deemed completely politically incorrect.
Yeah.
But it's so how we got to know each other, and through having those conversations, we got to laugh at each other.
Yeah.
And then throughout that conversation, and once it's all said and done, we realize that, hey, we're all the same. We're the same. We're trying to do the same thing.
Exactly.
All we want, most of us were just trying to get back to our kids, get out of prison, get home, get right, get our lives back on track. And when I see those dudes, it's not like I see anything other than a name.
Yeah.
Like I see my boy Slugger. It's like, what's up, Slugger? I see my boy Ant. It's like, what's up, Ant? I see my boy Joshua. It's like I'm not sitting here going, okay, we got homie's a Southsider. This dude's a black dude. This dude's Samoan. What? It's like, no, I don't see that. But it never fails. We go out and we hang out together, and it's always somebody who's like, who's the white boy? And I always just laugh. It's like, okay, whatever. But, I mean, I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't. But it's crazy how this separation has tried to. It's been a narrative, I think, that not only politicians but the media has put forth.
Yeah.
Right. Because, quite frankly, I have never met a person from Mexico that I have not been friends with. I mean, honestly.
That's good.
Dude, honestly. I mean, I've run paint crews with, and I always used to get all the guys that were from Mexico and didn't speak very good English. They always ended up on my crew because I made the effort to speak Spanish with them and I could communicate, right? And I mean, that went a long ways with those guys because they were like, oh, here's a white dude that is willing to. But in the process of not only working together, but I would teach them more English than they knew, and I would also ask them about Spanish, And so while I was doing that, it was great because I'm learning and they're learning, and we're mingling these cultures together, and we're like learning about one another, and I mean, I don't see what's wrong with that.
No.
And I mean, the fact of building a wall, what the fuck? I mean, come on, are you kidding me? I mean,
that wall is never going to.
The wall is fucking stupid anyway. Well, Biden's still continuing with it. he is. He's
really?
He is. He's taken property from people down in Texas, and he said not one more square foot of wall was going to be built, but he's still doing it.
Oh my gosh!
Right. So it's absolutely stupid. I mean, and to begin with, Texas is Mexico.
Yeah.
I mean, through imperialism, we took it, basically. It's just another place that we took.
Texas, Arizona.
And I don't even know why I say we. Yeah. I mean, it really, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. There's an argument to be made for open borders or not open borders. I don't know. I don't have the answer. But to me, it seems like, I mean, I feel like anybody from Mexico, I feel like anybody from Mexico should be able to just come into the United States. I mean, and we should be able to, I mean, as an American citizen, I feel like I should be able to walk into Mexico. And
you're able to. Yeah.
Well, to a certain extent, I am to a certain extent because of the connections that I have. But I don't know that a lot of people, I mean, the cartels are certainly a force to be reckoned with.
But let me say that on that note, I'm expected to get my American passport in 8 weeks. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I went and turned in the documents yesterday, and they went through, and it's all great, and I'm just waiting for my passport. So that's
a good deal, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about going across. I'm definitely not worried about my safety.
Yeah.
But I was also in prison with a lot of those cats, and I know a lot of, I know some names and some cell phone numbers and this and that, and dudes I can get a hold of. I mean, so I don't know. It just seems like we shouldn't have these I don't know, these boundaries, these borders, these separate. I mean, why sit there and argue over building a wall?
Yeah.
We should be building bridges, not walls. I mean, we're all people.
I agree.
I mean, that's kind of where I've been my whole life with this. Anything. I mean, since I was a little kid, with racism and shit, I've always just been like, we're all people.
Yeah.
Why do we, why do we put up these boundaries, these walls, these separations between ourselves? Because
and it's pointless, because even with the wall, people find a way through. So it's like,
and you know what? And if they need to get over here because their lives are that bad, then we should be accepting these people with open arms and saying, okay, and we should be doing something to help so their lives aren't so bad
Yeah.
there. I mean, it's like we should be helping one another. We shouldn't be, just saying, "Oh, well, you're this," get it. It's like, I mean, it's like when my buddy Joshua was here. The first time I invited him and took him to the Eagles Club, and I was thinking, "Oh boy." And I go through into the Eagles Club, and people are looking like, next thing I know, I look over and he's at a table, and I mean, you've got a big black man from L.A.
Oh my god!
And he's got everybody putting their hands out. He's like, all right, who's got a pocket knife, And I'm like, oh
yeah.
And somebody pulls a pocket knife out, and he's like, he's sitting there, he's okay, whose hand am I going to stab? And they're going to bleed green.
Oh my gosh.
Going to bleed green, right? And they're all like, no one. He's like, you get my point.
Yeah.
And it was funny that he made that analogy because he and I never had that conversation. But I've always said the same thing. It's like, you stab me, I stab you. We're both going to bleed red.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, I mean, you want to sit here and you want to say this about the color of my skin, and the color of your skin, and this and that and the other thing. But it's like underneath it, we all bleed red.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It's a crazy world. And I think that the media just does such a, and I don't know what the point is, but they do a great job of dividing us.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just because of the political system, because of D's and R's, like, or just to keep us divided because that keeps us in control, or that keeps them in control.
Yeah.
Keeps I mean.
I have no idea.
I don't either, because let me tell you this, man. I will never in my life ever not go to a black barbecue.
Oh no.
Dude, I will not miss that shit. Yeah. Ever.
Great.
Ever. I mean, a black barbecue. Dude, come on, man. You got to be kidding me, man. I mean, and I've been invited to many, and that's the crazy thing too, is that, I mean, the African American community, they're I mean, towards me, I've been given nothing but invitations and hospitality, right?
But let me say, like in Miami, when I went to college there, I was always invited to black barbecues and everything, and it was great. As soon as I moved to BYU, where it's everyone white, it's like...
You're eating like dry chicken and shit? Yeah. Dry chicken and shit's dry, fried down, laid aside. Leave it on the barbecue for 17 hours.
Yeah.
Get no beans, yeah. I mean, I like to think that I know how to barbecue a little bit of shit, but nothing like, nothing like, going to a black barbecue, man. And I mean, it's just, I mean, you've got just, and wonderful, generous people, and and I mean, I'd like to think that as a white person, I'm the same. I would invite anybody to a barbecue of mine, but it's damn sure not going to be like a black barbecue. No, there ain't no way. I just can't do it. I got that 80-year-old black grandmother that's going to be out there, knowing how to, do this and do that, and just, I mean, oh man.
No, but hold on. From there, when I moved to Maryland, in the company I work for, like 95% of the workforce, they were Ethiopian.
Yeah.
So going to an
Ethiopian food's good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's great.
Yeah.
It's like out of this world.
Yeah, I had some friends in Seattle, Salam and her cousin named T, and T and Salam, their parents had a Ethiopian restaurant.
Oh my gosh.
I'd never eaten Ethiopian food before. And
Okay.
I happened to meet them at a bar one night. We were just hanging out, playing pool, and I met them both, and we became really good friends. And so they took me to their restaurant that their family owned. And oh my god, I mean, I was like, Ethiopian food.
Yeah.
I said, y'all ain't got any food over there. What's he talking about? I was like, Jesus Christ. Oh God, I went and ate at that restaurant with them when I first met him. I was like, holy shit, this shit is bomb.
Yeah, but it's crazy how they bring it into different plates, and then it's like in the middle, and then it's like,
and you're just just going. Oh God, it was so good. I went to eat at their parents. I ate there all the time. I hung out with them a lot too. I mean, we always hung out, and that was really good food.
Yeah.
And then I knew some Indian cats that had a restaurant. I mean, that's what I miss about the city, is being able to go in and like eat different ethnic foods, and be involved with different cultures and stuff. I miss that a lot,
For sure, and I mean that's what
I enjoy that, because it's it gives you an outlook. I feel like a lot of people around here, and they're it's almost like they're scared.
Yeah.
right? Like there's like the people in this town. It's like they're scared of
everything.
They've got these stereotypes that they've been fed their whole lives, and so they're having not experienced different cultures, they're scared of it. And if they were just
they shouldn't be.
Yeah, just let the fears down and realize that we're all people.
Yeah,
And I mean, I would think that people from other cultures, would also enjoy, I mean, I think that people that come out here, I mean, obviously they come out year after year to Cody, Wyoming.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I mean, to eat a slab of steak or whatever, eat a McDonald's cheeseburger, stay in an overpriced hotel room, and then go look at animals up in Yellowstone.
I cannot eat McDonald's anymore. My sons love it, but it's like
the last time I ate it almost killed me. I swear to God, I ate a quarter pounder with cheese, and I mean, we got like 45 minutes down the road, and I thought I was going to shit myself. I mean, I was almost out there in a piece of sagebrush, trying to. I mean, God, I thought that I ate something that was dead.
Oh my God!
I can't eat that shit at all. Even the smell of it just makes me ill. This is like.
I agree. My sons love it, so it's like.
Yeah, little kids like it.
Yeah, it's like, why on earth do you like that food? And they're like, I don't know. It's food. It's like.
Yeah, I don't. Oh. My son was the same way. I mean, until like he doesn't like it anymore. I mean, he's 13 now. I mean, he does a better job cooking for himself than I probably do. But yeah, it says. The crazy thing about McDonald's is it doesn't matter what country you go to.
Yeah,
you're going to get the same brand of crap. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't matter if you're in Brazil or fucking Peru or Russia or Mongolia. You go to Mickey D's, you're just going to get the same brand of crap. I mean, it's going to taste the same. Ugh.
It's kind of funny because in the McDonald's in Mexico they actually have jalapeno chili. So.
Oh, do they? Yeah. That's awesome. My buddy Cisco, man, back in Seattle, he was from Guadalajara, and we did a lot of painting together. Like we hung tight. Like he was my boy, and we did a lot of traveling together. And he always had a clear plastic bag of these. I don't even know what kind of peppers they were. I'm guessing they were serranos or something like that.
Yeah.
But these things, like you didn't know which one was going to be hot and which was. I remember one day we're going from Seattle down to Eugene to do a job, and we swing through a Dairy Queen.
Oh no!
And so we both order one of those flamethrower burgers, right? It's supposed to be hot, not really that hot.
Yeah.
And so we're in his truck, and we get back on the interstate, and we're rolling, and he's over there, he's eating his burger, and he's reaching in the sack, and he's just like, I mean, he's like half a bite of one of his peppers at a time. And I'm like, hey, Cisco, can I get one of them peppers? He's like, be careful, Mikey. And I'm like, what you mean? He goes, be careful. He's like, go ahead, but be careful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And so I reach in and I grab it and I take a bite of it. I got one of the hot ones. Oh, my God. I think I drank my whole soda. And he's just over there laughing at me. He's like,
I told you to be careful.
Yeah. Oh, he was a good dude. He gave me some of the best advice anybody's ever given me in my life. Right, and I was like going through a breakup, and he goes, Mikey, here's the deal. He goes, they all got bad cow disease, and they all come from the same sister. I said, you son of a bitch. I said, you know what?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that ain't a truer word ever been spoken. That guy. He was a guy who was sitting there. We were making fajitas and salsa that afternoon.
Oh my gosh!
When those guys, these loggers, like we were up north of Seattle, right? So he lived with a bunch of these like white loggers, and these guys are like the toughest motherfuckers you meet. These dudes, they weren't scared of nothing, anything like that. So Cisco and I, we're up on the deck, and we're making fajitas, and he's making his special salsa, which was to die for, man. I mean, it was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you hear these loggers go, "Stump fucker!" And I'm like, and I look down, and these guys they were trying to cut this big, huge stump, and they all dropped their saws, and these are big, tough guys. They take off running, and all of a sudden, this thing comes buzzing up out of the stump.
Oh my gosh!
And it looked like a hummingbird. It scared the shit out of me. Out of both of us, I run in the house, and not thinking about Cisco being an asshole, I slam the slider shut. He comes behind me. He runs into the glass. Hits the ground. I open the thing back up. He comes in. I shut it again. And this thing's buzzing around. I mean, I'll show you a picture of what one of these fucking things look like.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they're absolutely terrifying. And after it flew off or whatever, wherever the hell it went, we went out and we're like talking to these logger dudes. Like, because we were making food for everybody, like he lived with these guys and they were cutting the stump out. And we're like, that's not what we do. And I'm like, what in the hell was that? And they're like, it was a stump fucker. And I'm like, the fuck is a stump fucker? And they're like, oh, dude, you don't even want to know. I'm like, I saw the goddamn thing. What the hell?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no, you get stung by that thing, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, what in the hell are you talking about? And I mean, and then, I've got a picture of one here on my phone somewhere. I mean, it's absolutely a terrifying thing. And that's why I don't believe in God. Because if there was God, God would not have made a stump fucker. There's no way. There's no way, because I mean, if you were a benevolent, like good dude, God guy, like like all knowing, all loving, you wouldn't create this creature. This thing is absolutely like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. And they say if you get stung by one and like you're out like on a logging crew and one of these things gets you, like you got to get to town immediately because it can kill you. I mean, I got a picture of one somewhere here. I'd never in my life even seen anything like this, and it was terrifying. Where the hell is it? I should just Google it. But anyway, you should Google it. Yeah, just Google stump fucker and see what comes up. I mean, this thing is an absolute nightmare. I mean, what kind of God would actually like create this thing? I mean, it doesn't make. Oh, here's a YouTube thing. Oh God.
Wait,
there's some kind. Yeah. Look at those. Like the one on the right, two down. Dude, they're terrible. They are absolutely. Dude, they're terrifying. And they say if you get stung by one, like you're done.
Oh my gosh.
Like you have to go. You're going to medical like immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, they're absolutely horrid. And there's a bunch of different kinds of them, but I mean, the sound that they create. This was like the kind that. Like that was the one that came out like that. Where, I mean, that thing's coming at you. Oh my God.
No,
it's huge too. I mean, it's got that big ass stinger on the back. I mean, and you're just like, what in the world? I mean, I'd never even. There's a video of one of them giving birth, and they like poop the thing out of the back end of them, and it's just like, whoa.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they are absolutely terrifying. And I mean, to see these guys that are just tougher than nails just drop their chainsaws.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking professional chainsaws, big bars. They've got the chains sharpened. I mean, like, look at this one. Look at the stinger on that son of a bitch.
Oh, my gosh. No.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, they're terrifying, and they're huge. And the sound they make just from their wings and I mean,
yeah.
And there's so many different ones. I'd like to find. I mean, the one that was. I mean, he was flying around that back door, and Cisco and I were sitting there upstairs at Kevin's house, and we're just like. We're looking at each other like, what the fuck is that fucking thing? It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, like, okay, here's this one here. This is one given given birth.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely crazy. It's like, it like poops the thing out of itself. Oh God. I'm not even going to pull it up.
It's nasty.
I mean, look at that one.
Nope.
I mean, how terrifying. I mean, what are you going to do about that? I mean, that thing, they're terrifying.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen one in my entire life. I've only seen one once, and it scared the living shit out of me.
I don't blame you.
Oh, it's God. Like... there's a video on YouTube of one of them giving birth, and it literally out that, like,
oh, no.
Like, see that high part of it right there? That's like the stinger. Like, it poops it out of that. Like, it, like, plops it out of there, and then now you got another stump fucker. That's part of the video right there. It's like that's how they give birth is right. I mean, dude, that thing is terrifying.
No,
it's huge. Look at that thing. I mean, good Lord. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, if there's a God,
he would not make that.
Yeah, look at that thing.
Nope.
No. Right? I mean, what are you going to do about that? I mean, that thing's coming at you. I mean, good God.
Yeah.
I mean, and the sound they make is just absolutely. Ugh. I mean, it's terrifying. Like, I mean, you're just like, whoa, what in the, I mean,
believe you.
I don't know. I'd like to find a picture of somebody that's got stung by one because the loggers said that. I mean that they're like they stab you and you're up on you're up there at camp or whatever and they get you.
They'll send you to the ICU.
They said, you've got to get out. And a lot of times those guys are way the hell back there.
Yeah.
Like they're a long ways from anywhere. I mean, and I think that's why those dudes ran like they did because they knew that, from being in logging camp, when you hit one of them, like you get stung by it and you're fucked. I mean, that's what they told me after the fact, after the thing flew off or wherever the hell it went. I was like, what in the world was that? And they're like, oh, it's stump fucker. And I'm like, what the fuck is a stump fucker? Like, you don't want to mess with that. And I'm like, okay, well, what the hell is that? Like, it's a stump fucker. I'm like, well, can you elaborate, please? It's like, what the hell is this goddamn thing? And they're just like, you just don't want to mess with it. I'm like, well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, there's another one right there. That's,
oh my gosh.
I mean, why would that be created?
Yeah.
Why? What? I mean, what purpose does that thing serve? I mean, it's just like the mosquito. Like, what purpose does the mosquito serve? I mean, it's just like
just to be.
Yeah, there's just
annoying. Yeah.
I mean, like, dude, terrifying. I mean, what is that? I mean, I would sit there with bees all day. Bees are fine. Honeybee. Look at that thing. Look at that some bitch. Nope. Yeah. Not even playing around with that.
Nope.
I mean, these things are just absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know. I mean, I hate wasps. And I hate it when people call them bees.
No.
But not bees.
It's a big difference, yeah.
Yeah, people are like, oh, goddamn bees. It's like, no, it's not a bee.
Nope.
It's not a bee. It's a wasp. It's a yellow jacket. It's a hornet, whatever it may be, but it's not a bee.
Yeah.
I mean, a bee will, a bee is a bee.
Yeah.
And they don't want to cause you any harm. A wasp or a yellow jacket, they're coming after you. No. I mean, they'll eat meat, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. When I was younger, there was a wasp nest in my uncle's house.
Yeah.
And it was.
Did you ever get hit by one?
No.
Oh,
but
God.
I mean, he had the animal control come and take care of that because he's like, I don't even want to mess with that. So.
Oh, and I have them here from time to time. I have cases of bee spray, or not bee spray, but wasp and hornet spray, and I have no problem with just taking them out because they suck. They really serve no fucking purpose whatsoever. Yeah. Like they don't do anybody any good. They're just they're terrible, and they kill bees.
Yeah,
and we need bees. And our bee population is dwindling like crazy. I mean, I don't know what it looks like in other countries, but in this country, I mean, we have to have bees.
Yeah.
If we don't, we're done. Like agriculturally, we're done. And I don't even know I mean, you never hear anything about that, right?
Nope.
But you sure do hear about all these wars and this and that. But it's like, maybe we should worry about like our own food sources, I mean, let's see. Just because I just wanted to look this up. I mean, it's something to look at,
Yeah.
50% decline in areas occupied by bumblebees in North America. Bumblebee populations in North America and Europe have plummeted as a result of extreme temperatures, according to a study published. What about what we're spraying on everything?
Yeah.
I mean, once the bees are done, we're done.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember as a kid seeing bees all the time.
Yeah.
It's very rare. I mean, I found one like maybe 2 years ago that was in my little kiddie pool out back. And it was kind of, it obviously just landed. It was flailing around. I reached in, scooped it up.
Yeah.
And took it out and like, went and put it on the leaf of a bush to, I mean, I will not kill a bee because.
I think that my in-laws had like a nest of bees, but it was like 10 years ago. But it's like such a long time ago.
Yeah.
That it's like.
I mean, it's crazy because I mean, if we lose bees, it just drives me nuts when somebody sees a wasp and they go,
"It's a
goddamn bee." It's like, no, that's not a bee. It's like that is a flying demon. That is a flying piece of shit. Yeah. It's like that is not a fucking bee.
Yeah, There's like a huge difference between the two.
I mean, the wasps they prey on the bees.
Yeah.
Like when we were up at my buddy's property up in northern Washington a couple of years ago, this old man that lived up the road, literally, they had unleashed these wasps. The Forest Service did to kill the pine beetles.
Yeah.
So we go up. He owns a mountaintop like 15 miles south of Canada. So we go up there, and literally the ground is just moving with these wasps. Like they're, and so this old man up the road, he would make these traps where he'd do like a tripod, and he'd hang a piece of steak over a big pot of water. And the wasps would come up and they would eat the steak. Right, so they're meat eaters. They're carnivorous.
Yeah.
Bees are not carnivorous.
Yeah.
So they eat the meat, and then they get too full and bloated, and then they fall down in the water and they die. And, I mean, every morning the old man was out there dumping these big pots of these. I mean, and you'd walk across. I mean, we'd walk across the ground. I mean, literally the whole ground was just moving, and you had to act like you weren't scared of them.
Yeah.
So you had to approach it like you just didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
If you thought about it, you'd get stuck. You know, they'd get you.
And those things hurt.
Oh, they're terrible. They're horrible. I mean, I had some out here in the ground in my sprinkler box out front a couple summers ago, and every time I'd run that lawnmower over there, I'd get stung in the back of the leg.
Yeah.
And I mean, that thing would last like 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
Terrible.
No, I've been stung a couple of times in my life by wasps. Yeah.
They suck. But yeah, I mean, you know, through pesticides and everything else that we're doing, that's, I mean, we lose the bees. And I always try and reiterate that to people, that it's like, okay, that's not a bee. That is a pestilent piece of shit motherfucker. And it's like, that is not a bee. That's a horrible, god-awful And if there is a God, why in the hell would he create something like that? You know, I mean, they're terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, what good does a fucking wasp or a yellow jacket or a hornet even serve? I mean, what does it do?
Yeah. I have no idea.
So it kind of makes me not believe in God.
Yeah.
Because if there is a God, then he would not have created that shit. Or like fire ants or brown recluse or black widows or anything. I mean, you know, it's like, come on. I mean, they've got some of these giant hornets that are just absolutely terrifying.
I believe you.
Or a brown, you know, like a brown recluse that bites you and your fucking skin falls out.
Yeah.
Good God. I mean, my buddy got bit by one of them when we were living in a tent up at Mount Hood, and I mean, he almost died from it. You know, I mean, he had a chunk of skin.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and he finally showed it to me. He got so sick. I was like, dude, what's wrong with you, Baker?
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, I haven't told anybody because I don't want to get fired, but I got bit by something. And he pulls up his sleeve, and he's got like a golf ball size hole in his arm. I was like, dude, no,
you gotta
we're
go
gone.
Get that checked. Yeah.
He's like, I said, get in my truck, let's go. And,
Yeah.
You know, my boss is like, where are you going? I said, shut the fuck up. I'm like, I got to take Baker to the doctor now.
Yeah.
You know, like he had to go get it. I mean, I walked him in there, and they were just like, oh my God. You know, and they're like, why didn't you say anything? And I mean, he didn't say anything because he didn't want, he didn't want to lose his job. But I mean, I remember we moved this piece one day up there on the mountain, and I mean, there was brown recluse. I mean, just thousands of them just screaming everywhere.
Gosh.
And one of them obviously got on him, bit him in the arm, and he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Maybe it'll go away.
No.
Not when you get bit by one of those.
Nope.
I mean, what kind of a benevolent God creates a creature like that?
I agree.
I mean, come on. You gotta be kidding me. There ain't no God.
Yeah. No,
there's no God.
That's why.
But there's a I don't know, a force that's greater than us, perhaps.
You know, it's kind of silly, but I went from being Catholic to Mormon to atheist.
Yeah.
And then after the brain injury, I'm more of an agnostic now, where I just respect everyone, whatever they want to believe.
That's where I'm at too. I'm agnostic. I'm not atheist, but
do I believe? It's like, not really. I believe that there's something greater than us, but that's it. That's where I want to stop.
Right, and that's kind of where I'm at too.
Yeah.
And that's why I became an Odinist, because it's more of it's a earth based like religion, but there's no dogma.
Yeah.
You can, I mean, to be an Odinist, to be Asatru, you can basically, you have the leeway to choose, you know, your path. You basically have, you know, the tenets that you should follow, which are just basically be a good person.
Yeah.
Like, you know, be industrious, you know, self-preservation, take care of each other. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
it's just all this. It's the same kind of an idea. Just thinking about it, just be a good person.
Yeah.
Right. Look out for your brothers and sisters.
Yep.
Try not to do anybody wrong. Don't steal.
Yeah.
Don't kill anybody. It's just like, just be a good person.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's, what, that was kind of the draw for me. I mean, I wouldn't even call it a religion necessarily. It's just it's just a way of life. It's a way of life. And I mean, it's kind of what I've felt my whole life anyways, I mean, to sit there and think that there's some magic man up there.
Nope.
It's like, and we always look up there. What's up there? I mean, what do you see up there? I mean,
Yep.
It's like, well, he's looking down on us. People die and they go, well, he's looking down on us.
No.
Really? You think? What from where?
Yeah.
I mean, a spaceship? What?
Yeah,
I mean, is that where you go? I mean, where's heaven?
No.
I don't. I mean, you look at a telescope. I don't see any heaven up there. Where's that?
They have no answer there.
Well, in heaven, they're looking down upon you and smiling.
It's like,
I don't know about that. I mean, nobody really knows.
No.
Do we transcend and become something else? I mean, we are consciousness, but it's like,
I guess we do, but it's like, who knows?
Who knows?
It's like,
you don't know until you die, and then when you die, I don't think you know either.
No.
I don't think you know. When you die, I don't even. I mean, this is just my concept of it, and because I don't know, I can't say that I do, but I think when you die and you pass, I mean, you go to the next wherever it is that you go, and I don't think you even remember this whole, this whole boondoggle that we fucking, went through being on this planet,
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we're only here for 70, 80 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like gone.
Yep.
I mean, and to sit here and argue, and you got these people that want to argue science and this and that and the other fucking thing, and it's like,
it's kind of pointless.
Well, it is. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
And I always tell people that, and they get all upset about it. It's like, how are you going to sit here and tell me that the Earth is 50 billion years old? And how are you going to sit here and tell me that it's only 5,000 years old?
No.
It's like, none of y'all know what happened past 1976. You know what I mean? I mean, that's when I was born. I don't know anything beyond, I mean, really, from 76, I mean, really, probably go to 81 maybe is like where I can remember anything from, I mean. And then you're going to sit here and say that, well, science said so?
No.
Oh, yeah, mankind's been right on point with everything, haven't they? Right on point.
Yeah.
And you're only here for 70 or 80 years? And then you want to talk about a billions of years old planet, and you're going to sit here and say that you know what happened and how it came about and what went on? Come on. How arrogant can you be?
Yeah,
I mean, to sit there and it's like crazy.
But it's kind of fun because I think Mormons teach that the Earth is only like 5,000 years old or whatever.
Right.
But I sit there with my son every night watching TikTok videos.
Yeah.
And he likes watching this guy who posts like old bones or whatever, old fossils. And he's like, oh, these are 13,000 years old. And I'm like, has it clicked in your brain that you're watching fossils of animals that lived 13,000 years ago, yet your church teaches you that?
Yeah, I mean, I got a piece here. I mean, this is 200 million years old.
Yeah.
And I got a whole bag full of them. I got dinosaur bones out in my garage.
Yeah.
I mean, I make clocks out of them, I mean, and I don't know how old they are. I mean, they supposedly say they can carbon date them. Who's to say that's correct? They don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, it's man's device to try and come up with an explanation.
Amen to that.
I mean, and honestly, I think most of it's we're probably just some kind of a fucking petri dish of an experiment. I mean, you think about an ant farm, right? You remember when you were a kid, like you had everybody that had the ant farm that used to shake the shit out of it.
Yeah.
That's what an earthquake is.
Yeah.
It's like whoever's watching this, he goes, they need to fucking let's fucking work them up a little bit. I mean, watch them scatter.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you look like where we live. I mean, Heart Mountain, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is, it's geologically upside down. It's upside down. I mean, if they carbon date it, I mean, it typically the top layer of a mountain is going to be the newest layer.
Yeah.
And as you go down, it's going to get older and older and older. That's completely opposite.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So if you go out to Clark and you look at the landscape out there, what they said is that thing got, like during the last ice age, it got flipped upside down. And then when all the ice thawed and we had a great deluge, that it slid across that plain out there in Clark, and that's where it landed.
Yeah.
That's where it came to rest, and it came to rest upside down. But they carbon dated it's upside down. It's the only mountain like that anywhere.
Yeah.
And then if you go out here, like where I go on my motorcycle, and the things I find out there, I mean,
Yeah.
the bone chips and fossils and things I can't even explain.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a geologist. I'm not a, I'm just out there tooling around, looking at things. But you can see, I mean, you get out there and you can see the way that the water had to have moved through.
Yeah.
And you wonder about, like, okay, what do we really know about it? I don't think we know a thing. That's crazy. I don't know. I mean, these scientists sit there and they say this and say that. And it's like really, I mean, in your 70 years of existence, and it's, let's say hypothetically we live on a planet that's billions of years old. Think of 1 billion and put 70 to 80 years in that.
It's crazy. It's like
right? I mean, we're lucky to live that long.
Yeah.
I mean, if you lived, like as a man, if you and I lived to be 80 years old.
Oh my gosh.
He lived a long life. He was a happy man. I mean, 80 compared to 1 billion years. I mean,
It's nothing.
what do we really know?
Yeah.
We don't know anything. We know what they told us in school. I mean, we don't know shit. We're just a bunch of fucking morons, I mean, who even knows if we're even alive? We might just be simulations. I don't know. I always get into that. Because I have an existential thing going on, I guess, because I just really don't understand what it's all about.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, and you've been through your situation.
Oh my gosh.
I can't even imagine where your mind is at.
Yeah.
I mean, having been through what you've been through, I mean, having everything fucking erased.
Yeah. Like
and
that.
then
every day, boom.
And then having to come to terms with a world that
Yeah.
you don't even know at 31 years old. Dude, that's crazy. I mean, that's wild, man.
Yeah. And it's like every day you wake up and it's like, where am I?
Reset. Yeah.
Yeah.
What am I doing here?
Yeah.
No, it's wild. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's why I'm not really scared of death.
Yeah.
Not at all. It doesn't. I don't have a fear of it. It doesn't bother me. And I live my life that way because I really don't care.
I think that I was scared of death before my injury, but after my injury,
when you came
it's
out,
like,
it went away.
Yeah, it's like we're all gonna die. It's like just part of life.
We all have. Yeah. You have life because you have death.
Yep.
And then where do we go from there?
I don't know. And
I
I'm
think
okay without knowing. It's like
I'm fine without knowing too. I am too, and I'm not fearful of it anymore because I've been in a position where I've floated away from my body.
Yeah.
Where I should have died, and I've looked at myself and gone, "Huh, okay,"
Yeah.
And then like something, it's like vroom, get sucked right back in, and then I'm back.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is, but I don't think there's anything to fear. And I mean, I think that's the big draw to religion for people too, because people are so scared about what happens when we die. Like,
no religion is going to answer.
Do you think you're going to go sit on a cloud and play a harp in a robe? I mean, how fun is that going to be for eternity?
Fuck no.
Eternity, right? That's what they say, eternity.
No.
Or you're going to go and you're going to go down there, and then you're going to fucking burn.
What? It's like.
But then they say, he's an all-knowing, all-loving God.
No.
But if you don't do this, you're going down there and you're going to burn.
Which God could create hell or like heaven? It's like...
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's all fucking fairy tales and bullshit. Are we consciousness? Certainly.
Yeah.
Are we energy? Of course we are. We're made. I mean, we function on electricity. We function on a current. Now, when we die, what happens to that?
No one knows.
Nobody does know, and you can't say.
Yep.
So why live your life based on these presumptions? These presumptions of like, well, if you don't put your 10%, in the thing, and you don't sing the songs, then you're gonna go down there.
I'm like,
and when your baby is born, you got to get the water sprinkled on their head, and otherwise, the baby's gonna burn.
Yeah. No.
But he's an all-knowing, all-loving God. But you have to do this.
Yeah.
You have to go down to the river and get dunked in there, and then speak in tongues and read the book. The most ridiculous thing in the world. That book is so full of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of great
Yeah.
parables and stories, and there's a lot of things that you can learn from reading the Bible. I've read it, I think, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, no, it's funny because if you read the Old Testament, it's
the most
bullshit.
violent fucking thing in the world too. And they want to talk about the Quran being a violent book.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, you read the Quran as opposed to the Old Testament. It's like, I think the Old Testament might have a beat.
Yeah.
Like God made this guy go out and like almost like fucking kill his own kid.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, that's not violent. And I mean, how many? There's so many examples in the Old Testament of, you know, like, oh, you can kill a woman for this and stone somebody for this and that, and it's like, what?
No, let me say, like, after the brain injury, I decided to read the Bible, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Because I came out with my brain injury, and I was like, I just want to read the Bible. And
Yeah.
I was like, why are we teaching our kid this? It's like,
Right. And then you read it, and you've got the sections in red,
yeah.
and they're like, well, that's where God spoke, huh? To who? Some guy?
Yeah.
Some guy over 2,000 years ago was wandering around in a fucking robe, herding goats, and God spoke to him, and he wrote this in red, and that's God's voice.
No.
Really? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really buying that one. I mean, what am I, fucking stupid? Like, that's what God said
Yeah, no.
to this guy. He hasn't washed his ass in 6
Yeah.
months, you know. But God spoke to him. You know, he wrote this in red. Where did he get the red ink?
Yeah. It's
They didn't have red ink out there herding goats, whatever they're doing. I mean, come on.
It's fucking insane.
It's ridiculous. And you sit there and you got to go to this thing on Sunday and singing songs.
No.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. I mean, what the fuck? I don't know what they do in Mormon church.
Let me say, thank God I work Sundays. I don't have to worry about that.
I've always laughed my ass off because I've painted a lot of the Mormon facilities around there, and you know, the guy, he's a great guy. I don't have anything bad to say about any of those people whatsoever. I've always been treated well by the Mormon people.
Yeah.
I mean, and I've never had a bad experience with Mormon people. I've got nothing against them whatsoever. Period. I mean, straight up. Like I don't follow, you know, their path.
Yeah.
You know, but that's fine. You know, and we all have our own path that we have to walk. But it was always funny. Like I'd be painting one of their buildings, you know, and the guy comes in like, Mike, you should bring your family into the multicultural hall.
Nope.
For the Christmas program, and I'd say, well, you know, yeah,
No.
I gotta go. I got a thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't even know what. I remember one year we were sitting there, we're playing basketball at the local park or whatever, and we're just shooting around. And these three missionaries come up, and they start trying to talk to us, and I just throw the ball at them, you know, and I'm like, hey, I tell you what, I was like, you go out there past the 3-point line. Make a shot, and you can tell us your story. You know, the guy goes, he misses the shot. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And he kept trying to talk. And I'm like, dude, really? You know, and he's trying to tell me about how Jesus came to Philadelphia.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like, dude, you know, I'm like, maybe Jesus did go to Philadelphia. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. I don't really care because we're not in Philadelphia and I didn't live back then. We're just trying to play some basketball. So, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know, he's like, well, can we pray over you guys? It's like, you guys can do whatever you want to do as long as you stay back there behind the line. You can pray over us. You can do whatever you want to do. I don't care. And they did. They sat there and they all like held hands and said some kind of prayer. And we just kept playing ball, you know. It's just like, well, whatever, man. I don't care. I don't dislike them for doing that. I don't hate them for doing that. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's like, you know, it was just one of those things. It's like they thought they were doing what they should do. And hey, they didn't do us any harm.
No.
You know, I mean, it's not like they came out and put hands on us or anything like that. I mean, they just sat there and, you know, they said their thing and off they went, you know. And like I've told you, I had the two sisters that used to come by the house, and I'd invite them in, and we'd have a glass of lemonade and sit there and talk, you know. I'd explain my tattoos and shit to them, and then they were just fascinated by it. But then I sat down with them and I was like, okay, you have the 10 Commandments, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I have the 9 noble virtues. I'm like, so let's discuss those things. You know, and they're like, well, what, but you're a pagan. I'm like, yes, I'm a pagan. I'm like, but, you know, I'm like, if I tell you these things, I'm like, you'll realize that we are not
so different,
too far from each other.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, you know, I mean, I'll read those off right now. I mean, for being a pagan, you know, it's really, I mean, it's courage, truth, honor, fidelity, discipline, hospitality, industriousness, and self-reliance.
It's great.
I mean that's
what everyone should live by. It's
right. I mean, and how different is that from the 10 Commandments? I mean, It's really not that. I mean, it's it's not that. I mean, and the biggest one is courage.
Yeah.
And be courageous.
No,
I mean, that's it. Stand up in the face of things that you think are, wrong, that are not, that are ill, that are enslaving and capturing people. I mean, that's what I've always tried to do, and I've always erred on the side of probably being a little too courageous because I mean, I don't care. I'll go stand in the middle of the water to find out,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
No, but let me say, like, after the brain injury, I didn't remember what church I belonged to or anything. So one Sunday I was like, it was like a year and a half after the brain injury. I told my wife, like, let's go to the Mormon church. And she's like, you're not going to like it. And I was like, so I got dressed up and everything. And then halfway through church, I was just like, what am I doing here? And she's like, you used to believe this, And I was like, no, just get me out of here.
Yeah, I've never been to a Mormon service before.
No.
And I never will.
Yeah.
I'll never go back to another church service,
Yeah.
period, because I don't think that church happens inside a building. I think church happens inside, like, church can be wherever you make it.
And it could be any day you make it. It doesn't matter.
Church is, I mean, your communication between yourself and whatever higher being or whatever that happens to be out there. I mean, to me, today it happened to me, like being out there in the middle of nowhere in a place that I'd never been and never seen. I mean, that was like, that's an experience that moves you, right? Like when you go into spaces like that and you experience things of that nature, when you go out and you meet somebody else that you never thought you would connect with, right? Like you and I, for example, right?
It's crazy.
That's church.
Like, how do we become
that's church,
friends?
right? Exactly. Just because we're willing and able to communicate.
Yeah.
And we don't have that. I mean, I know so many people that have that, like that. They just hate.
Yeah.
They hate others for no reason.
Yeah.
Because they look different than them. They speak different than them.
Or I don't know.
I mean, the whole idea that proud to be an American. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What are you proud to be an American?
Yeah.
You didn't have anything to do with it. You just got plopped out here. I mean, it's like your mom just went boom, and there you are. And now you're proud of it? You decided that? Now I'm going to sing a song and wave a flag and wear a hat and fucking have a parade about proud to be an American.
Yeah.
Were you here for the, I mean, you're here for the fucking, the Revolutionary War?
No. But
Were you here for the Civil War? Were you here for slavery? Were you here during, the Mexican-American Wars? Were you here during the French Indian Wars? No, you weren't. You just got, you fucking got plopped out in the 70s or 80s or whatever, and here you are. You're driving around in your Chevy or Ford. You're living in your fucking shitty-ass house. You got 3.2 kids, whatever the fuck it is, and you're proud to be an American. I'm going to shoot off fireworks, goddammit, July 4th. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, that's why I don't celebrate that shit, because, the nationalism thing is like, what the fuck you got to be proud of? I mean, the people that say that, I don't give a shit if you say white pride, brown pride, black pride, whatever. Dude, why? What are you proud of?
Matter.
What are you proud of? Be proud of who you are.
Yeah.
Right? Like, be proud of your actions. Like, be proud of, like, what you've... That's fine. You want to be proud of what you've done in your life. That's one thing. But to sit there and for me to fucking put, like, a white pride tattoo on me...
No.
What the fuck? Or even for a guy to put, like, black pride. Anything. I mean...
No. It's
why?
the same.
What are you proud... Why are you proud of this? The skin... I mean, dude, I didn't choose this.
Yeah.
I didn't have any... That's who I am.
Yeah.
Just like you're from where you're from, I'm from where I'm from.
I'm from Mexico.
I'm from Alaska.
I'm proud to be Mexican or whatever you want to call me. It's like,
but you should, I mean, it's proud to be who you are.
Yeah.
And where you're born doesn't have anything to do about it. You should be proud of your actions, what you've done in your life, and that should be what defines you. And I've tried to tell my friends, like, listen, until we get to the point where we don't define ourselves as like when I talk about you to people, I'm like, I got a new co-host on the show. His name's Ricardo. Check it out. I don't define you as my friend from Mexico City, right?
Yeah.
You're Ricardo.
Yeah.
That's it. Like my best friend Joshua, I don't define him as my black friend from LA, right? I know. I'm like, it's like my best friend Joshua.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, and until we start defining one another just by our names, and our character and what we've done and who we actually are instead of by this.
Yeah.
Right? Then we're just going backwards. You know, and people, I mean, and in the white community, you know, see, here I'm talking about, I'm making these definitions, but I mean, you know, people are just so guilty of, you know, just defining people. Yeah. Like when I talk to somebody that doesn't know you or any of my other friends, I make it a point that I don't ever define somebody from a different cultural background than mine as that.
Great.
They are a person that like I mean, like, hey, my new co-host Ricardo.
Yeah,
he's an awesome dude. You ought to hear his story.
Yeah,
this dude's badass. He's got this crazy ass fucking story about what happened to him and shit. You know, and it's like, check out the podcast. You can hear all about it. But you know, it's like, hey, come by. You know, and I tell people that all the time. Come by when we're doing the podcast. Come by. You know, hang out. And I think that's what needs to happen more so than anything, because we've got this identity politics kind of outlook on things that, you know, we're all supposed to be in this, you know, we're put in these different little subsectors of like who we are, and so fucking stupid because we're all brothers and sisters. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I mean, I don't give a shit. Everybody out there is my brother or my sister, as far as I look at it. You know. It doesn't matter about, you know, the color of my skin, and it doesn't matter about the color of anybody else's skin. I feel like we're all brothers and sisters, and I love everybody, you know, until you fucking show that you don't deserve it. And when you show that you don't deserve it, you know, and the only time that really happens is when people
are assholes.
They abuse others. That's been like the only time that I've ever had issue over time. And been in fights and things like that. It's always been over somebody trying to, you know, put their power over another individual.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
No.
I don't like that at all. And I don't care how big you are.
Yeah.
I don't care how tough you think you are. I'm going to fight you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's physically or mentally. And I've learned how to do both.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I don't like. I just don't like people trying to, you know, to take their power and put it over anybody else. I don't like bullies, and I don't like abusers, and I don't like racist motherfuckers either.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. Anybody that's trying to take their power and
impose it on other people.
Right? Yeah. I have no tolerance for that. That's the only thing I'm intolerant of.
Yeah.
Really, other than that, man, and unfortunately, that's put me in a lot of positions where I've had to resort to violence, and people look at me as a violent man sometimes.
Especially where we live in Cody, which is like so set in its ways. It's like
it is, and I don't know where I got my outlook from on the whole thing, because I grew up here, man.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, it's all white.
Yeah,
but I mean, I always hated it when I would hear people speak racist shit. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and I mean, I grew up here. I got none of that in me.
Yeah.
I hate it. I can't stand. I never could stand it. And this is where, I mean, I didn't grow up around any other culture.
Yeah.
You know, but I always hated it when people would say that shit. And I think it's just because of, I think a lot of it is because of how people are raised. You know, like my parents never ever, you know, they were not racist whatsoever. They never imparted that upon my brothers or I. We didn't get that. I mean, we basically were raised to think that, you know, people are fucking people.
Yeah.
You know? And I mean, if it seemed like growing up, if there were people in this community that were of a different background, that my parents always welcomed them openly into the home. We met these people and we became friends with them.
Yeah.
And it was never like you look at somebody and say, oh, well, this, you know, I mean, we just didn't have that ingrained in us. I think that's a big part of it. It's like, because a newborn kid is gonna just, I mean, they don't care. I mean, like your newborn daughter. I mean, like when she gets old enough, she's hanging out playing with other kids.
Yeah,
she's not. They don't care if they don't see that. I mean, you know, and it's unfortunately it's just a byproduct of the media, politics.
And let me say that I'm so glad I went to Miami first, because that got me exposed to being part of like a multi-racial community. It's like Miami's got to be cool. I've never been there, but I can imagine that it's I mean, it's insane. It's like wherever you look there's people from different countries, and it's like
And everybody just, and I enjoy that about living in Seattle. And I love that about Seattle because living there, I mean, if I wanted to, if I was sick of my friends, people that I was around, whatever, I could go to, like, any given night. I could, if I wanted to go see blues, I'd go to a blues bar, you know, and walk in and, you know, I'm around a whole different, any night of the week I could go someplace else and, you know, be around a whole different group of people from all different cultural backgrounds. And I didn't ever feel like I was looked at like any different out there than, you know, I mean, by anybody. It was just like you walk in and it's just like, I mean, there was times I'd go into different bars and clubs and shit, and I'm the only white guy. I didn't give a shit. Nobody in there cared. Nobody in there cared. There was just like, it's like, how you doing, man? You know?
It's the same in Miami. Because if I wanted to hang out with the Latin crew, I went out with the Latin crew and we went to a reggaeton bar, and then you only listen to Spanish music, and it's like, okay. But then if I wanted to hang out with the American crew, I just went out with the Americans, and it's fine. It's like.
Yeah, and I used to go listen to a lot of Hispanic music in Seattle too. You know, I mean, Hispanic, blues. You had Irish places. I mean, you had any number of places. I mean, and that's what's cool about, like, Seattle's kind of cool like that because during the winter it's just rainy and it's dreary, and so the music, I think, out there, it's something that brings people out of that depression of being just, you know, the cloudy doldrums all day, and so you've got all these different spots you can go, and I really like that about Seattle, and I miss that a lot. But I can imagine that Miami is, I mean, that's got to be just like a festive, like, and just everybody's just having a good time, and
when the coldest temperature is like 45 degrees.
Like, I'm just thinking of like that Gloria Estefan video. Come on, everybody, you know. Everybody's just walking around with that in their head all day. That wouldn't be a bad thing.
No, but, you know? But that's what it is. I mean, you have so many tourists, and it's like a party all the time.
Everybody's wearing bright colors and little clothes.
That's true.
No, it's got to be a cool spot. Like I said, I've only been to Orlando and around that area, and I like that. I mean, it's cool around there, but it's nothing like being down in Miami's got to be,
We've got to go to Miami.
We should. We should do that. That'd be fun. That would be. We should do that. I'd be down. We'll go do a podcast from Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You'd know where to go. I wouldn't. I know Andrew Schultz is down there, or at least he was. I heard that maybe he might be leaving, but I know he's doing his podcast out of there.
Yeah.
And I love those guys. Shout out to fucking Andrew Schultz. That guy's fucking he's bad as shit. If you guys haven't listened to Andrew, you should check him out. Google him. Check him out on YouTube, because that dude is he's a unique comedian. That he's culturally knowledgeable about just about anybody. Like, I mean, he can look at a dude that's sitting in the crowd and ask if he's Indian, and he can tell if he's like Punjabi or Sikh. You know, I mean, the dude knows. I mean, it's crazy. He's like one of those comedians that does like crowd work, right? So he comes out. It's like unscripted. And he comes out and sees who's sitting there, and he just kind of starts going on where he's going to go with things. And I guess that's kind of how this podcast is too. And that's, I don't know, that's something I like about it.
You know, it's crazy, but I actually know like a couple of Punjabi friends from Miami.
Right? Like, and I do from Seattle as well. And then, I mean, you know, and I know some Sikhs, you know, as well. You know, it's like, I mean, you know, the Sikhs are like the warrior class, and they got that little bracelet, the bracelet, you know. They got the, you know, that used to be the whole arm shield. But now it's just a bracelet. But, and like Andrew Schultz says too, he's like, with the bracelet, he goes, now it's just meant for sitting on the steering wheel of an Uber. I mean, but he, you know, dude gets away with that because he's a comedian. And it's funny. It's, I mean, he's kind of one of those cats that is able to break down those cultural, you know, lines that we all have that was like, oh, yeah, that's politically incorrect to say, and this and that and the other thing.
You're like,
I mean, like I said, one of the best conversations I ever had in prison was like sitting there with, you know, my boys, and we're all talking about like, okay, what was your first vehicle? And so everybody had to like I'm sitting there with a Southsider, a Paisa, you know, a couple Asian cats, a couple black dudes, you know, I mean, a Native American dude, like we had like the whole, you know. And we're all just sitting around and we're laughing about it, you know. And of course, they start with me and they're like, "Oh, File definitely had a Ford F-150." You know, and I'm like, well, you definitely had a Royal Brom. And I'm looking at the south side dude, I'm like, and you definitely drove a Chevy Stepside, you know? And I mean, it's just like, it went around. We were laughing. It was hilarious. And it was a totally racist conversation, but
it's based on all the stereotypes. Yeah.
But it broke down those walls, and we realized how much we had stereotyped one another, and it made us laugh because we realized that, holy shit, we've lived this entire life like defining another individual by what we think they are, what we think they do, or what we think about them, or and we don't even fucking know. It's like, and we all realize it's like, holy shit, we're all the fucking same.
Yeah.
We're just a bunch of dudes in prison trying to get back home to our kids.
Yep.
You know, and I mean, that was one of those, nobody would have looked at that conversation and said that was adequate or okay. You couldn't put that conversation on, you couldn't put that out on YouTube. You couldn't put it out on Bookface. You couldn't put it out anywhere and let anybody listen to it and you'd have some social justice warrior saying that it was wrong.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, but the fact of the matter is that conversation between that group of guys that broke down those barriers between us.
Yeah.
Right? Made us all realize, like, oh, fuck. We've been
so
fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, why do we hate one? What are we doing? and
why don't we try to get along?
The amount of laughter that came from that. I mean, it was just like, and after that, I mean, all those dudes, every dude that was involved in that conversation that night, I mean, I love those fucking dudes to death, you know? And I mean, if I could sit down and have them all right here, right now, having that, you know, just rehashing that shit, it would be great because, I mean, I would, you know, I mean, it's just, it's awesome. And then all those dudes, I mean, I go out there, if I run into any of those cats, I mean, I'm invited into their home. We hang out, we kick it, and it's just like, and we don't have that perception of one another. It's like, oh, he's this, he's that. It's like, dude, this is my boy. You know, and that's it. It's just like,
it's like the crew. I mean, my boys from Miami, it's like one is from Nicaragua.
Yeah.
One is from, what is it called? Daytona Beach, and one is from New York.
Yeah.
And those were the crew that I hung out with the most.
And
I'm from Mexico, so it's like...
Well, it's funny. We had our boy Jorge. He was on our crew in prison, right? He was from Honduras.
Yeah.
And so my buddy Nick used to and this is definitely politically incorrect, but he would always call him Mexican. And Jorge would get mad. He'd be like, "I'm from Honduras," you know. And Nick would look at me like, "Hey, dog, look, Mexican's Mexican, dog, whatever." You know, and it was all just in jest, you know. But you know, at first Jorge would get mad, but I mean, it just turned into it was just a joke, you know. But I mean, we were able to do that with one another. You know, I mean, look, dog, Mexican's Mexican. I don't care, you know what I mean? And I mean, at first, man, he just, you know. Fucking pissed, you know. He's like, I'm on Lurin. But you know, I mean, it, you know, it's one of those things that definitely wasn't politically correct. But as our friendships developed, it was funny, you know, because it was just like, you know, I mean, it was one of those things where you just, you know, and he'd crack jokes about, you know, white boys and shit. Like, we'd laugh and just, you know, whatever.
Yeah, no, it's
I mean, it's like, who cares?
It's like in Mexico, if you're like from the northern part, you're a norteño. If you are from Mexico City, you're from the DF. Yeah. And everywhere else is like, it doesn't matter, but it's like norteño or DF.
Well, and the same thing happens up here too.
Yeah.
Because where I was at, I was on a southern yard. And so they would have norteños that are, you know, Northern California.
Yeah.
And they would have those guys in the shoe, right? And these poor cats, I always felt bad because these cats, they'd leave them in there for like 180 days.
Oh my gosh!
And then it would always be like chow time, right? Like at dinner at night, and they would let them out the shoe. And norteños aren't going to roll on a southern yard. I mean, it's Serrano shit. I mean, you got Southsiders, Pisces. I mean, they ain't gonna. These poor cats, you'd watch them and they come out the shoe, man. These guys are just all bugged. They're looking around, and you're like, oh fuck, they let them out. Oh god, here we go. You know, and they just get rolled up on like immediately, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, these dudes are Mexican too, man. They're just like, they're just the fact that they're from Northern California, right? They're like from San Francisco, San Jose, whatever. So that now that they're norteños, and they would get the shit kicked out of them, you know, and then they'd go right back in the shoe, you know, and then they'd lock the yard down, and they'd, you know, and they'd call you in, and one by one they'd call you back, and SIS would sit there and go, "What do you know about what happened the other night?" And say, "Well, I know that you all let the norteños out of the shoe on the yard." At chow time, And this is a southern yard, and it's like they're not gonna. I mean, it's like, why are you asking me? I'm a white boy. It's like, what the fuck do I know about this shit? I'm like, the white boys didn't jump these dudes. It's like you let them out of the shoe, and you knew that they were going to get the fucking shit kicked out of them because they were fucking like 6 Norteños coming out at chow time, and you got a yard full of fucking Southsiders and fucking Pisces. Yeah. It's like these dudes are going to kick the fucking shit out of them, just based on general fucking principle. And you're going to sit here and you're going to fucking question me?
Yeah.
Like I know anything about it? It's like, fuck, you did it. I mean, they did. Yeah. They would do it on purpose. And it's like, dude, what the fuck? And I always felt bad for these cats.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't do nothing wrong. I mean, they're just, and then they get buggy, they're locked in the shoe. I mean, you're 180 days in solitary, dude. Yeah. You're not fucking right. You come out, you get let out on the yard, and you're fucking looking around like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, you just get bum rushed, man, and fucking beat the fuck out. And then you're back in the shoe.
Yeah.
You get your ass whipped, and then here you go, back and you go. Or they ship them to another place, and it's just like, what are you doing with these guys, I always felt terrible for those cats. Because it's like, and then they lock the yard down and we're sitting there eating blow me sandwiches for fucking, however, getting called back there one by one to sit down with these idiots.
Oh my
what do you know about this? I know you let those dudes out on this yard and, you knew what was going to happen. So, and they would, well, fuck you, Lyle, and be like, well, fuck you, you fucking asshole.
Yeah.
It's like you guys did it.
It's your fault.
It's like, I didn't do it. I didn't let those guys out on the yard. It's like, you knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be in the shoe with them cats, what I mean? You go out in the morning at 5:30 a.m. for your rec, and, you're in dog cages. You get the white guys, you get your Southsiders, your Pisces, and then the buggy Norteños over here, and then the guys that have to be by themselves because somebody will kill them, and you're all just walking around your dog cage, and you'd have little conversations going on, but then the Norteños are always they're kind of like, we don't belong here. What do we do? I always felt bad for them cats.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's nothing I have nothing you can do for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, sorry, dude, you're going to get your ass whooped when you fucking lay out here,
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. Weird fucking shit, man. I mean, it's crazy shit. And then, the way the cars run and
oh my gosh.
Christ, fucking wild. Yeah. Norteños and Sureños.
Anyways.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've been going for a while. We should probably wrap it up. Hopefully this all came through all right. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. It looks like we've got streaming and recording. Let's see. Let's take us out with a fucking song, huh? Let's see what we got going here. This is a good one. This is a little feel good, a little happy song. After all that talk about prison riots, I'll hit you with a lock and a sock.
We can't all jump buildings or even stop a speeding car. We don't fight supervillains or fly off into the stars. We don't know our capes, have sidekicks, or even a best friend, but we know where it starts though, and that's usually where you end. And we could be bigger than Batman if we wanted to, bigger than the bombs we're going through. For every little lie you believe that's true, no, there's a superhero inside of you. Bigger than Batman if we wanted to, bigger than the bombs we're going through. For every little lie you believe that's true, no, there's a superhero inside of you. We ain't all perfect, yeah, we don't usually kiss the girl. We don't have superpowers, change your phone booths or save the world. We don't know our capes, have sidekicks, or even a best friend, but we know where it starts though, and that's usually where you end. And we could be bigger than Batman if we wanted to, bigger than the bombs we're going through. For every little lie you believe that's true, no, there's a superhero inside of you. Bigger than Batman if we wanted to, bigger than the bombs we're going through. For every little lie you believe that's true, no, there's a superhero inside of you. You call for a hero, think no one can hear you, and no one can help you take it on. We all need a hero when it's dark and it's fearful. A hero.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, peace out tonight from the Mike File studio. Mike File, Ricardo Torres. wishing you all a
Good
great
night.
evening, and we shall catch you soon. We love all of you. Y'all stay up, take care of each other, and all things be kind, and do no harm. Peace out.